What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at a returning Motor Pass vehicle from Season 1, which funnily enough I never actually got this car to begin with, but the Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Interception Unit. I'm sure a lot of players did end up getting this car for the recent summit as well. If you guys do buy the car in the bundle, depending on how many vehicles you own, I paid like 475k because I own the other two cars. If you were to buy this vehicle by itself, though, I believe it's like 620k or something like that. So I would say it's going to be up there in a price, but this car is definitely pretty sweet, and I really cannot believe I never actually got this car from the first season. But it also makes me really happy the fact that Ubisoft is indeed adding vehicles from the older motor passes, so that's pretty awesome. Looking forward to seeing which other ones they actually add. I never did get this car, so being able to see it in the game again is pretty sweet, and I could definitely see why a lot of players like this vehicle. That body kit, by the way, is absolutely insane. Look how wide that is. That is probably one of the biggest takeaways of this Mustang as well, is the fact that the body kit actually fits the car perfectly. Every time I see fenders sticking out way past the tires, I think of GTA, which is kind of hilarious. But overall, guys, I would say the detail of this Mustang is pretty incredible. The wing on the back there is going to be carbon fiber. It's obviously an interception unit, so you're going to have the sirens on the top, which I will play that in a second here when I do the outside look. But I think many players are going to like the fact that the Mustang was added back into the game. And by the way, guys, I do want to mention from what I have seen so far, these cars are not going to be limited. I do believe they're going to be in the game forever now. At least that's what I do think anyway, which is pretty sweet, the fact that they're adding older cars back in. I really do wonder what other Summit cars we might see. I do know some of the Summit vehicles in this update are going to be from older Summits, so I think only like one of the cars is actually new or something like that. But nonetheless, though, let's go do an outside look of this Mustang right now because I do want to take a closer look at this thing. And you already know we do have to do a top speed test just to see what this car can actually get to. So now taking an outside look of the Mustang here, I would say upon first glance, most players are probably going to go, my goodness, look how wide that car is. It legitimately takes up most of the lane, like that's kind of hilarious. But I would say the biggest thing about the Mustang here, guys, is the fact that this car actually came out in Season 1. I still can't really believe that, but overall I would say this thing is going to be pretty sweet. I'm really digging the body kit on this car as well, and I'm not really a big fan of huge wings on cars, to be honest, but overall, I would say the one on this Mustang doesn't look all that bad. Now, with this Mustang being an interception unit, it's indeed going to have some lights on the top. With turning this on though, guys, I can see that basically nothing else actually flashes. I think it would have been kind of cool to have the lights on like the bumper flashing, or even lights on the bumper for that matter. Then again though, I really can't hate because this car did come out in Season 1, but let's take a look at this interior real fast here. So let's see what it looks like. So it's going to look pretty much like a Mustang as you guys would expect. I don't think anything special about it from what I can see here. I might be tripping out, but the middle part of the car is not working as well. I thought that was a bug at first, but it does look like the middle part of this vehicle is indeed not working, which is kind of funny. I think the dials are also stuck in the middle, and it looks like this car is getting no AC from the middle parts of it either, which is definitely going to be kind of unfortunate on a hot day, but I really do like the overall look of the interior of these Mustangs, and I think the carbon fiber also looks pretty sweet. But now guys, besides all that, let's go see what the top speed of the Mustang actually is. So what's kind of funny is one of my favorite vehicles to actually use in the street class, even though it's not going to be the greatest car, at least what I have noticed, is going to be the regular GT500. I just like driving that thing around. It's also one of my favorite cars in real life because I really do love muscle cars, and Mustangs sound absolutely insane. But the top speed of the Mustang right here is going to be at 239 miles an hour or so, which is honestly going to be pretty average for many of the cars in the street class. I mean, I have been noticing many of the cars tend to do like 235 to like 243 or so. So this car is most likely going to fall into the category of many of the other ones. It's most likely going to come down to what you guys really like to drive, because what I have noticed so far is even though many of the cars do have a very similar top speed, many of them definitely seem to handle a little bit differently. So from the testing I have done with this car, I would say the Shelby GT500 Interception Unit is most likely going to be the kind of vehicle many players are probably going to get because they did end up missing it and or maybe they wanted to test out something like this again. I would say one of the biggest takeaways with this car again is probably going to be the body kit. I mean, this thing does look pretty awesome, and for me, it actually looks pretty similar to the other car that was added a while ago. That's going to be the Road Force 1 edition, which I actually think it's the same body kit on that vehicle. But regardless, though, the Interception unit was literally here since the first season of the game, which is kind of insane. It can definitely be considered one of the OG cars of the Crew 2 because I feel like a lot of players might have actually missed this vehicle, but now that they are actually adding older cars back into the game, I think it's pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with different vehicles and summits in the future. I'm not gonna lie though, guys, I really do hope they're not going to add more vehicles into like the starter packs and stuff, which by the way, I did mention this in an older video, but I will be doing the RXA and the Cayman edition as well, so stay tuned for that in the coming days. I really do feel like those cars are actually pretty awesome, but having older vehicles like this are definitely going to make a lot of players happy because maybe some of those old Motor Pass vehicles that you wanted are most likely going to make a return. For example, I did also see the KS Masked Leader coming back as well, which is probably one of the weirdest hypercars in the game. But at least a lot of these vehicles are going to be unique in their own way, similar to the Interception unit here. Now guys, one thing I did notice about driving this Shelby for a little bit is, well, the handling on this car does actually seem to be pretty dang good. But I guess one way you could look at it is the fact that these cars are going to be very unique. The Interception unit is definitely going to be very old and pretty much an OG vehicle, and the KS Mass Leader is going to be one of those odd cars that I feel like many players are definitely going to want. But one thing I do want to mention, guys, I feel like the Interception unit is actually a pretty decent car for the most part. I mean, I was pretty impressed with the handling when I did the race in the Summit. You can definitely see some of the cars in the Crew 2 having some issues with handling and or stability, and I would say the overall top speed, depending on the event you might be doing, might be a bit of an issue with the GT500, with this car doing 239, so if you guys were to do some of the longer events, I would say this car might end up struggling just a little bit, but for these shorter ones, I do think the way the Shelby actually handles is going to make it a pretty good option for shorter events. I would say the lower top speed might hurt it a little bit on some of the longer ones, but to be honest guys, I feel like many of the races in the Summit seem to be shorter races anyway, so I think the Shelby here is going to be a pretty dang good vehicle, but I would say the biggest thing about this car is the fact that it did finally come back. But let me know what you guys think about the Interception unit in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm currently running on this vehicle.